Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya and this is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got the team from the City of Stoke-on-Trent Sixth Form College. We've got Principal Phil McPherson and Ange Hopwood. Hello, how are you both?
Hi, great to be with you.
Yeah, very well, thank you. Good to be here.
It's great to have you in the studio here, and we have had education, all establishments in here before on Business Spotlight, and as this is a business show, I'm just going to ask you first of all, how can a business and education come together, and how does it work?
I mean, I think that has been a challenge historically, and I think one of the things that we've done as a college is work really hard over the last few years to really try and bridge that gap between business employers and the college and education sector, and I think that's where T-levels have really supported that aim and objective for us. Really, we were one of the early adopters of T-levels, so they came online in 2020. Nationally, so we were the first college in the region to offer T-levels because we really saw it as a way that we could bridge that gap. We could develop the technical skills of our students, but also hopefully then consequently support the needs of the local businesses and employers. So
how does a T-level work for a business? What is the process of actually getting involved first of all?
So the T-level qualification, without going into too much detail, is effectively 80% studying a technical qualification which takes place in the college, but then the other 20% of the student's journey is done through an industry placement. So the students have to complete, as part of all the T-levels, a compulsory industry placement, and that's 315 hours, or 9 weeks or 45 days, whichever way you want to sort of look at it. And I think we're always very conscious, Ange, of sort of reinforcing, aren't we, that it's not work experience for 1 week. It's something that actually we really want to work with businesses and work with employers and develop a long-term sort of meaningful relationship, because effectively there's a fantastic opportunity to take a student for that 9-week period and effectively work with them as an employee during that time, and really reap some big benefits from that.
I think a lot of the benefits for employers is that they can access emerging talent. So our young people have got some great ideas. Also from the employer's point of view, maybe it gives some of their staff chance to do leadership as well when they're mentoring our students, which is always really good as well. And I think everybody's always surprised at how talented they are when they come to them. They think, at 16, 17, what can they bring? But there's a great deal of talent because of the technical qualification that we're doing with them in college.
I mean that sounds like they could be quite innovative for a business in doing that as well, like you're saying, those skills coming through, because sometimes, and you might tell me if I'm wrong, do you come up against like barriers like, I haven't got the time to deal with a student? But there's something you've just mentioned there straight away, Ange, which is quite interesting, is somebody like a member of staff could actually take on a more of a leadership role. So then I suppose is it indirectly
that goes
giving
to their
skills
development,
to their development as well?
Definitely. But we've had lots of employers that have not been reluctant, but once they have had a student, few people just want their own business, one-man businesses, those sort of people, and they've said they were surprised at, our people would observe and say, why don't you do that? And introduce new ideas to them to bring them in line with, up-to-date technology and things that we do. So it's really a two-way partnership, really. Employers don't always see that at the beginning, but they quickly change their minds, really,
and
which is good.
Does it matter which sort of sector a business is in? Do you have particular sectors that you do work with more?
So we've, as I say, we launched our first T-level course in 2020, and that was digital. and then the T levels have come online nationally in sort of waves year on year. So we're now up to 11 courses across different sector areas. So to give you a flavour, we've got finance, we've got legal services, we've got digital, as I've mentioned, health, science, media, education. So we've got a real range and breadth of T-level courses. And obviously, when we're looking at developing those links with employers, often we will target and sort of prioritise, if you like, some areas where they align quite clearly with that sector. However, I think a lesson that we've learned over recent years is that actually a lot of those organisations require students with these skill sets and young people who can bring that to their organisation. So I think more and more now, Ange, aren't we? We're seeing that students will go to perhaps what on paper looks like a health organisation or a legal services organisation, but actually it'll be a digital student who's got some fantastic skills and expertise that they can contribute to that business, even if it isn't necessarily on paper a digital organisation. Because I just think, you know, the students' aptitudes and abilities are quite mind-blowing actually at times in terms of what they can offer.
And is that then a way as well of sort of providing opportunities and awareness of certain career or job opportunities which you might not be aware of?
Yes, 100%. So certainly from the students' aspect, they've got no idea what jobs exist in industry, and when they go in for their placement, it really sort of broadens their minds to it. You know, just to give an example, our legal services, that when they start, they think they're all going to end up as solicitors, but you know, law in employers, it could be HR, it could be within the financial sector. So we get students that once they've started on placement, they really become more driven and interested in a particular area.
And have you ever had a business then who's taken a T-level student on the flip side who has gone in and come up with some fantastic idea and noticed an area, a gap that needs filling, a void, should I say, within a skills shortage perhaps within a business, and the business has actually identified, actually, we need a role for this. We need someone to come in and actually take this on full time. Has that ever happened?
We've got success stories where the students been taken on in different roles going on from the placement, but probably not an exact example of, you know, identifying a new role. But certainly we've got success stories, you know, from students that have gone in and then just developed in there and found their own place.
I think sort of one of the advantages of T levels is that in terms of sort of progression for the students after the qualification, it really does leave all of those doors and routes open for them. And one of the intents of T level qualifications when they were launched was actually to provide that sort of pipeline of talent coming through, and so that students would actually potentially go direct into employment. So we have seen that. We do still have students who will go on and do a higher level qualification at university. Some of them will go on to a higher level apprenticeship. But equally, as Ange has said, we have had some brilliant success stories of students who've been so impressive on that placement for 9 weeks with the employer that at the end of the qualification, the employer said, you know, we really don't want to lose you. We want to keep you with us in our organisation.
So it keeps on, I suppose, as well, or is a sort of door opener in a way as well for that longer career sort of opportunities. And is it all local businesses then? Obviously you're local to Stoke-on-Trent as a sixth form. Is it local businesses that you work with? Is that all the businesses you work with, or is it further afield? No,
we work with the Home Office in Manchester, and we also have got other businesses out of the area that are very supportive of T levels. For us, certainly with the digital, you know, with Silicon Stoke, that kind of thing, we are looking to, we've got some really supportive employers that are keen to keep the talent in Stoke. And of course, we work with both universities on that as well. So
I mean, I think the sort of number of employers and businesses that are now engaging with the college has risen significantly. So when we, again, a few years ago, we would say probably our active employers, if you like, was somewhere around 25 or 30 that were working regularly with the college. we're now spilling that over the 100 mark. So we've seen a real growth in sort of businesses who, I think word is absolutely spreading. I think it's spreading nationally, but I think it's spreading also locally. And I think some of the experiences, and I know some of the network events that Ange attends with businesses on a regular basis, that word's now getting round that actually this can be a brilliant thing for your business.
Well, it addresses skill gaps as well, because a lot of companies would say that they struggle with recruitment, and people naturally going through the business, so it fills that as well.
And from a business side again as well, from that perspective, how can T-levels actually or potentially help a business to grow? I know we've talked about skills and shortage and all that, and adding them and bringing ideas, but can you give any examples or any sort of case studies that you may have already got of where a business has actually started to grow from having a T-level student who's gone in?
So grow.
Does it help with productivity and different things like that?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And we sort of we're always in talks with local employers, but we've got particular projects where we put a number of students in at the same time for productivity. So yeah, we've got examples of that. It's almost like a small team, because the T-levels now have sort of evolved in this project, so the students can do project work, which obviously does help businesses as well, so they can take a few, 2 or 3, maybe more, on a particular project, which then they can just get one of their team in the employment to supervise and lead them that way.
And I know you've mentioned you work with businesses outside of the area as well, but the students, we were coming to the sixth form here in Stoke-on-Trent. How important is it? I know you said you're looking to grow and get more businesses on board from the area. How important is it for you? And I've asked other organisations this question before as well, but to keep that local talent within the city of Stoke-on-Trent.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we always want to create as many opportunities as possible for our students. Inevitably, when students leave the college, they will, go to other national organisations. They will go on to HE. They will potentially leave for a period of time. But one of the things I think is always actually then bringing that talent back. And I think it's amazing how many students then do return potentially after that 3 year at university and come back and end up with a local employer. But also, as I said previously, I think the fact that now these qualifications often will then result in an opportunity more longer term into employment with local businesses. I think that is a real incentive for the students. In terms of the course offer, we've worked closely with partners such as the Chambers of Commerce, and I know a lot of work's taken place on local skills improvement plan over the last few years. So we've really tried to pick out the courses that we think are going to support that local skills need, and ultimately transfer our young people and such talented young people into these employment opportunities.
It sounds like the few things that you've mentioned there is from the work that you've been doing, and Ange, you go out to a lot of business networking events. I see you quite often, but you different business work events as well. But it sounds like you've also got the understanding that businesses, and they do, need to understand what it means from an educational side.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're getting more of an understanding of what a business wants and what a business needs and how they can benefit.
Yeah, we encourage partnering up with employers as well to help us with, employer set projects. So, we can work with an employer on a particular project and help them with that, which again adds to, the course and brings it to life for the students as well.
I think it's sort of, I think like you mentioned, it's developing those kind of meaningful partnerships that allows us to better understand the needs of the business and the sort of local employment sector, but also vice versa, they're almost getting that understanding of the education setting as well. And I think that's where, again, we were very clear from day one really that we wanted to develop those long-term relationships with employers. And it's not just about the placement, it's about working together in partnership in other ways. If the businesses want to come into college and actually meet some of our other students on other qualifications, if they want to get more of an understanding about what's going on in the sort of post-16 qualification landscape, and there's a huge amount going on at the moment, and it will impact on sort of the progression into employment and onto those businesses in future years. So we're very open and willing to work in any way we can and connect with businesses as much as possible to meet their needs.
And there's one thing that I can identify, and talking about publicity and obviously things that I do in my own business and PR and brand and everything, but you can almost see, because a lot of organisations that I do come across who do say quite a lot, I'd say especially in the last couple of years, of how much they do want to be more connected to their local community. And I could actually see from this in helping younger people to, like you say, give them those opportunities to listen, to provide, whether it's progression or just even listen to their skills, their ideas and their innovation perhaps they could bring to a business. I could see where that could actually add more credibility to an organisation. Do you see that yourselves, or do you get feedback like that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think we've tried to work hard on the approach, as I said earlier, of almost employer partners, and I think one of the benefits is that we want to work with these people and these organisations to almost endorse that course for us, but also to have them sort of front and centre involved in that partnership with us. So I think from a kind of business brand point of view and a business publicity point of view, we have now got these employers who are, you know, very sort of prominent on our marketing channels, on our website, on our social media platforms, and it's almost connecting our setting to that business and that employer. But I think it's absolutely sort of raising their profile in the local area as well.
And I think for the employers that we already work with, there's some out there that think, oh, well, I'm on my own, I can't take a student, but they could come in and talk to our groups and inspire them exactly in that way, and tell them about the business. So there's lots of ways that employers can engage with us, even if they can't offer a placement opportunity. So we're just keen to get talking to local businesses, really.
So if anybody listening would like to get in touch, whether it's T-levels or any other way, and would really just like to, like I say, to connect more with you at the sixth form, how's best is it to connect? Is it online? Is it social media?
Well, they can contact me at the sixth form. I'm always on LinkedIn as well, so there's various ways that they can get in touch, and I'm happy to have discussions with anybody that perhaps just wants a few more bit more information and know a little bit more about it.
And through the college website, so it's stokesfc.ac.uk, there's an employer partner link on there where there's a form where you can express an interest in working with the college, and again, that doesn't necessarily just have to be in relation to placements, and we fill that in, then we'll be in touch, and we'd be really grateful of the support and opportunity to develop that partnership.
Phil, Ange, thank you so much for coming in here on Business Spotlight. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really, yeah.
No doubt we'll keep in touch, and no doubt I'll see you around, Ange, as well. But thank you so much. That's Phil McPherson and Ange Hopwood from City of Stoke-on-Trent, Sixth Form College, here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.